pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone to our March regular town board meeting. If you could get us started with a roll call, please.
Councilman Bozick.
Here.
Councilwoman DeShane.
Here.
Councilman White.
Here.
Councilman Lewandowski.
Here.
Supervisor Miller.
Here. Okay, we start off with our review and approval of minutes from the February 13th regular town board meeting. Does anyone have anything to add or amend to the minutes? All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular February 13th town board meeting. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilman Lewandowski.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
For reports and remittances from department heads and town committees, we have the February supervisory reports for the financials, which are all in great shape. And we have a letter that I want to call to the board's attention. We are approximately 3 months late in, actually 2 months late in, oh, it's in the back, sorry. I thought it was something up front. In our review of the books, the annual review of the books. So we have the town clerk's books, the supervisor's books, the tax collector's books, and the town justice's books. And this becomes critical in the circumstances of the town justices because we need to pass a resolution that says that we have examined those books. So they've been ready. Former Judge Snyder Green has let us know that they have been ready. So we need to set a date to have those looked at. Even though we're behind, we have to get this resolution done.
Is the supervisor's books ready?
Oh, they've been ready. Yeah,
Oh, because
absolutely.
you're supposed to give the board a document stating that your books are ready.
They're ready 24/7, 365 days a year, but okay, I'll do a
Yeah.
document for you.
All right, thank you.
But I would like to make a motion that we do this review prior to the April regular town board meeting, maybe the half hour beforehand, and have them out here for the public to see. Is that
Too late? Will that be
Well,
too late?
we've got to have it done to get this resolution done for the
Your
judges.
books were done, Vicki, right?
Yep.
Frank did
We can all
yours.
do it together? Can I
Yeah, and
stop
the tax
on Saturday
collectors
and
is
do
always
it?
done, too.
We can just,
That's
well,
how I
it's,
did it before.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you guys, however, whatever works with everybody.
The clerk's books
The
I've
town
already
books have-
reviewed,
the
and the
town-
tax collectors
two of the
I've
town board members
almost
have
completed. So I was getting ready to move on to the judges in the next week and a half.
Okay. Is it feasible to say that we'll have everything reviewed by the April town board meeting?
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to put a resolution on the agenda for the April town board meeting that the books have all been looked at for 2022, but the judges in particular for which we need the resolution to go to the unified court system. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Shane. Okay.
Also with the supervisor's report, when will we have the recommendations for the year-end transfers?
You have those. I gave them to the town clerk probably 3 weeks ago, right after our last meeting.
For the year-end transfers?
Yes, yeah, Wendy had prepared them and I gave them the amended reports to do. I put a little note on it.
I gave you the amended report, I don't know what included.
Oh, yeah, that's the amended report, but we still have to do the year-end transfers. We haven't done the year-end transfers yet. The supervisor has to put that together for us. We've done the ARPA money transfers, but that wasn't the year-end, that was just for ARPA.
Okay, all right, I'll look at that.
All right, thank you.
Do you have recommendations for transfers that you'd like to make?
Yeah, I think the ambulance has to have the money that they didn't get all the money last year, and we just paid them for some of last year. We have to transfer that into their account, so that doesn't go negative. I believe that was around $9,000.
Yep, it was exactly 9,000. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Anything else for the supervisor's reports? Okay, moving on to the town clerk's reports, Vicki?
Town clerk fees brought in $251, trash brought in $1,741, building permits was $100, miscellaneous revenue, which was the highway and the youth department, petty taxes put back into the general fund, was $700. Total revenue for the month was $2,796. After paying ag markets, the check that went to the supervisor was $2,792.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the town clerk's report. Do I have a second?
Who seconded
All
it?
in favor? Pierce did.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, highway superintendent, I don't see him here. so
He's
that's-
getting ready
That's-
for.
I'm sure,
Yeah,
yeah. that's
he
what-
called it.
They,
Yeah, good deal. Okay. Great. The assessor's report looked pretty standard, but he had one little add-on. He did. You're Sandy? Okay, from March 9th, 2023, reviewing properties in the field, met with taxpayers, held office hours, went over new construction permits. He received 18 new STAR applications for senior citizen STAR exemptions. He received 46 new senior applications. All STAR IDPs have been key punched and transmitted to the state, and all escrows have been processed. That's from the assessor. Right, buildings and code enforcement, I don't see Mr. Repeski here on this one. Okay. Planning board, added on to the agenda, but again, no chairman here. Okay. All right, the Grafton Rescue Squad. Is anyone here from the squad tonight that would like to? Yes, hi, Tom.
How's it going?
Captain Sullivan.
Rescue squad for the month of February was dispatched to 22 calls and responded to 10. We had an 11th call where it was canceled prior to the opportunity to complete a crew. Ambulance traveled 218.2 miles. Fly car traveled 12.9 miles. We had total man hours on duty calls for 63.06 hours. We attended training for CPAP. We have now purchased all the equipment and have all the training in place for CPAP for our ambulance, so we can provide that for severe difficulty breathing, including COPD and CHFers. We also did the training and have implemented the Pulsera, which is a communication system back and forth between the ambulances and the hospitals. It's replacing the radio systems. They're thinking the radio systems are going to only become a backup system. They think that'll happen probably within the next 5 years. So we've implemented Pulsera, and we are currently using that now.
Thank you. All right, dog control officer.
Had 2 dogs running loose. Was able to contact both owners and speak to them. They both been given verbal warning. I had one guy who wanted to surrender his dog. I directed him to the Humane Society, and then I just had one call for an injured deer that I sent them to DEC.
Thank you, thank you. All right, youth program director, we're still in flux with hiring one. Do we have applications? We received?
Haven't
Really?
got anything on that.
No applications. I think so too. I think so too. I agree. I don't know. Okay,
summertime.
it's coming, yeah, we think about piggybacking on another program, maybe sending our kids to a program that's already in place, Post and Kill or something,
Possibly.
you know, for more.
Post and Kill does theirs with Sand Lake.
Yeah.
Some municipalities do them together.
With a beach and stuff, yeah. Okay, the next thing is the community library. Leanna is not here this evening. I'm unable to attend the town board meeting on Monday the 13th. Below is the February report. Thank you and have a good week, Leanna. Statistics for February 2023. 498 hardcover books were checked out. Overdrive was 276 ebooks. They had 224 adults, 26 children, and 3 teens for their patron visits. Program attendance was at 42. They have Legos and crafts off the bus on Mondays. Zumba Gold, Monday at 6 p.m. at Roxborough Holdings, and they're starting another 10-week session on Monday, April 3rd. They have story time every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. There's a drug take-back day scheduled for this Saturday from 10 to 2, right at the library. Drug take-back day for March 18th, 10 to 2. Respectfully submitted, Leanna. That's from the director. Okay, from the State Park. Hey, we're not canceled, we're here.
So Over here, I first want to introduce Riley. So Riley is a new Student Conservation Association member. So he'll be with us for 10 months. He's going to be working as an events assistant and working with public programs and volunteers. So he'll be at some of these meetings tonight. So yeah. Riley.
Hi, Riley.
And then for things happening at the park, we have been partnering with the Capital District Sportsman Center a little bit more. So we hosted our first ever ice fishing, free fishing day with the CDSC back in February. So we're hoping to work with them for these special free fishing days that the state puts on where anybody can come and test out fishing. It was especially cool because some people might know how to fish but don't know how to ice fish. So we'll be working with them for our trout day coming up in April, as well as other fishing and possibly even some hunting events that we've never done at the park before. So we've got a really good group of hunters that we don't really interact with. So I'd love to be more interactive with those types of people. And then this month, coming up, we do have Maple Day. That's next Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the 25th. So we'll have lots of different educational stations as well as ice cream that you can put maple syrup on. And then the day after that, we have been trying to build up our volunteer program at the park. So we're going to have a volunteer open house on Sunday the 26th from 2 to 4 p.m. And we'll be debuting a new volunteer opportunity at the park to be a fire tower steward. So that'll be an opportunity to go up to the fire tower and chat with people on a Saturday or Sunday morning throughout the day. And it'll give us a better sense of how many people we're getting up at the park and hopefully keep down on the graffiti issue that we have up there. So, yeah. Other than that, we do have flyers up here of the volunteer open house, the Maple Day, and also general programs that we have at the park.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. And welcome, Riley. All right, the Recreation Committee. Anyone here tonight from the Recreation Committee? Senior citizen representatives or merrymakers? No.
We're gonna have a meeting Friday,
Okay.
this Friday at 4 to start getting together what we're gonna do this summer.
That's the Recreation Committee.
That's recreation.
Okay, perfect. Do you have a date for the Gray Whack picnic? Linda
The
was
4th.
unclear. The 4th, it is June 4th? Okay. June 4th, perfect. Okay, all right, thank you, Nancy. Okay, communications received. We have something that was just received fresh this evening.
I believe he said he was going to read it.
From Mr. Munt, okay.
I can read it.
During public comment, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any other communication received? No? Okay. Under new business, we have mold remediation information. This is Vicky's.
As you know, I contacted a gentleman to deal with whatever the causing odor in there. He came in and did an assessment. You guys have some of the information that I have. We just need to decide where we're going to move forward from here and what we want to do.
Thank you, Vicki.
Let me ask you something, Vicki. Is it affecting this storage area?
Huh?
Is the mold in the storage area here?
Yeah,
In the
Is
vault.
that
it's in the
yeah, in
vault.
the vault? That's been a while, right?
Years, from what I was told.
Ever.
I think we should pass a resolution to get 3 quotes for an assessment to be done for the whole building, so that way we can make sure that what's going on and the best way to handle it.
And the gentleman that came in just did a general walkthrough. He did check our attic, he checked the crawl space. And my main focus was the vault. And he said, they didn't do an assessment, it was just a walkthrough. And I talked to a couple other people and they did say that if we want to do the whole building, we should have somebody come in and do the assessment.
For the whole building?
Right.
That would mean the rescue squad too?
Yeah. the entire building. Attic, crawl space, rescue squad, that real office, check everything out, make sure everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be. So is that something we could,
I thought there was a resolution tonight to pass. Or was that taken out?
I think it was pulled, actually.
It was taken out because the town board had decided that we want to look into having the whole building rather than doing it in pieces.
Plus, you're supposed to have the assessment done by one entity, and then you put out to bid for the remediation to be done by a different entity. So you could do a motion right now, if you wanted to authorize the town clerk to seek bids for an assessment quote from more than 3. You could, as many as you can get. And then you guys could review that, and based on those, go out to the first step, which is to hire somebody to do the assessment for all the municipal buildings. If you wanted, because this is very important. So if you wanted to make such a motion, you could do that right now.
So wait a minute, you just said all the buildings?
no,
Well,
All of this
the whole
building?
All of this building, whatever you guys say.
Okay.
So someone would just have to make the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to allow the clerk to go out and obtain bids for an assessment, mold assessment. Do I have a second? I'll second it.
Councilman Bowdre,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Yes.
and Supervisor Dudley.
Yes. We got 3 names the other day when we met with
Yep.
the gentleman, so I have those on my desk if you can jot it down.
Actually, I do have that.
You do have them, okay, good.
So
Thank you.
Vicki, let me ask you, has anyone complained about, feeling sick or anything like that from that issue?
No, there's
Just
not,
over the time period that we've been dealing with this?
no, I haven't had anybody complain or say that they've had issues. I mean, if I've gone in there and I've come out stuffed up.
Yeah.
I can't say what it is, but
Yeah. Okay. It needs to be done.
It's very bad in there. Okay, any other new business? Okay, under old business, we have the first responder tax exemption.
I think we just gotta get everything together and make sure it's all perfect with Craig and with Phil. So we can look at the draft and make sure it's all good for next meeting, and then we'll set up a public hearing.
Can you give a explanation what the first response tax exemption is?
If I could, that's the county, same as the county just did. So if you are a volunteer, if we're talking about the same thing, if you're a volunteer for EMT or for fire, then you could possibly get a break on your real estate taxes. It's an exemption. So they would have to weigh whether they want to follow the one that the county did, which is based on the state one, or they can modify it. That's what they would have to choose.
Up to
Is-
10%.
Is there any requirements with that? For instance, with the fire department or rescue squad, they've got all new members, but
Right.
if they're not riding, they have some that are out on disability. Do
Yes.
they still get that
Not
exemption?
necessarily. They have to be qualified under the state law.
Okay,
And, yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so we're in a holding pattern on that one until the county gives us the,
Well, we have it already. It's more now Craig is looking at it a little bit. We're waiting for input back from him. Do you want to follow the exact same pattern that the county did, or does the town have certain differences that they think they would want to make? So it's more not with the county anymore, but more with Craig, and then ultimately the board.
it's possible.
We can't hear you guys back here when you mumble like that. I don't know if you were talking to us or,
No, no, we're just, not yet. Pierce was reading something from the resolution.
Resolution.
okay.
All right, moving on, capital computers, backup and other miscellaneous services. As we discussed at last meeting, the financials are backed up, but we really need to back up everything. And we had a gentleman come in from Capital Computers to give us what we felt at the time was a super reasonable quote. He's local, to get things shored up. And here we sit. What do you guys want to do? Is it this one? No, it was 9,000.
I don't,
It was Kyle Harbinger who.
Yeah, no, it was, this is the guy,
Yep.
but it was, it's not that
No, it
price.
doesn't go back that far, no, no. It was just a couple $100s to get everything shored up and a subscription. So, okay, we're still working on that then. All right, email issues.
I have,
The backup for the computers? You don't know what the big deal is with that?
I don't know why we're not deciding on it.
Oh, right, I got you. Yeah, I don't need it. I got you. Okay. Yep, I hear you.
the email issue, we were working on that. I did find .gov has the opportunity where we can get our own .gov domain, and grafton.gov is available. So if that's something, and it's free, so if that's something that the town wants, what I recommend is we get the paperwork together for the .gov, we pass a resolution, and it would be grafton.gov. And then once we do that, we just give it to our provider, and it would update our website address, and then we could come out with new emails through our hosting, which they do offer that, Vicki said. So then it would be, you know, Supervisor Gundrum at grafton.gov as opposed to Supervisor Gundrum at townofgraftonneyork.org. So it'd make it a lot shorter and it's free. So it'd be assigned to us.
townofgraftonneyork.org.
Our website,
Oh, okay. Which we don't use that now.
we do use that.
No, we don't. Not for
That's our
emails.
website.
Yeah, but we don't use that for email.
No, but there was a conversation last month about having our emails have our website address on it.
Okay.
Which if we were gonna do that, I recommend we get the free .gov one, which is a lot shorter website address. So it'd be grafton.gov. A lot shorter, easier for people to search online, and it's free.
Grafton, New York.
We don't even have to, we don't have to do New York.
Because that's-
Grafton's available, so it's just
Yeah.
grafton.gov.
Yeah, but there's multiple Graftons in multiple different
Has
states.
anyone had any issues with their emails lately? Mine have been coming through here. and
Mine
on the
tonight went
laptop,
down.
and Yours went down? Again? Right.
What's that mine? But it has been working.
You may want to grab Grafton NY. I notice other municipalities have been doing that, just so there's no confusion with
You might
Michigan.
as well get both of them through .gov.
Right.
Okay.
So is that something that the board wants me to work on?
Or New Zealand.
Mass.
Grafton, Mass is the other one that comes up, yeah.
Okay, committee appointments, supervisors committee appointments for 2023. I'm taking this to, Public Safety Committee, Councilman Beaudry, Councilman Hoyt. Parks and Cemeteries, Councilwoman DeShane, Councilman Hoyt. Highway, Councilman Beaudry, Councilman Hoyt. Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Beaudry, Councilman Lewandowski. Street Lighting, Councilman Beaudry, Councilman Lewandowski. Recycling, Councilwoman DeShane, Councilman Lewandowski. Human Resources, Councilwoman DeShane, Councilman Hoyt. Youth, Councilman Beaudry, Councilman Lewandowski. Veterans, Councilman Hoyt, Councilwoman DeShane. Seniors, Councilwoman DeShane, Councilman Lewandowski. Municipal Grants Committee, Councilman Beaudry, Councilwoman DeShane. And Budget, Councilman Hoyt, Councilman Lewandowski. Those are the supervisors' appointments for 2023. And of course, all board members are encouraged to work on everything together, but those are some specific assignments. Thank you. All right, Youth Director, Youth Program. Vicki just told us we haven't received any.
No letters of interest whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, that's, we were interested in how drafting this joint plan. I missed the last meeting, and so I knew you didn't have anybody yet. But we need to know that through the county youth work that you're looking for someone. So we did put the word out looking for
Okay.
someone. But you want someone in town.
Right, if we could, sure, preferably.
And what was the pay on this?
$6,000 annually is the salary for the youth director in particular. There have been some things coming from your office, from Debbie, from the county youth department, that I've been answering, the things that she needs answered to keep the paperwork flowing.
We just want to make sure if there's somebody available that you can hire them and get them moving on this, otherwise we'll have to come up with another plan.
Right.
I mean, and it's, a lot of people are having problems finding people who want to go to work for whatever we're paying them. So people are talking about having to raise the hourly rates or the amount of money we pay them. So I don't know what we're going to do about this.
Vicki, could you continue to advertise? Do we need a resolution for that, or because we already approved the resolution for it to advertise, it's okay?
You already approved it because spending was involved, correct?
Yeah.
Did you put a cap on how much? I forgot.
No.
Then you're all right.
Okay.
In the budget.
What does a youth director entail, and do you need credentials for that?
Credentials are preferred, but anybody can apply. Usually the youth director gets with the board and kind of develops a plan. Usually in August or July, there's like a month-long drop-in program that the town does that usually goes to like 9 to 2 if I have it right in my head, where kids can come and enjoy it, and we have it up at the school. Certain years it's at certain locations, and then we approve different field trips this year that the youth director would figure out and book and approve through the board and do different things like that. We used to do a monthly activity, but this year we were going to do more trips and stuff, but with not having a director now, that puts a lot of things in the air, and a lot of it the discretion of the director working with the board.
Okay, we're just newer to the town, and we're just trying to see how we can get involved more. So he started working for the town, and this is just a nice opportunity, and I saw what you've been doing at the park. So just, if I could get some more information, it's from you picked here on a website.
Yeah, there's a description, a job description for that position.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's time for you to reinvent your program. If you have
Yeah,
someone young that has new, fresh
That's
ideas,
a
it's not
possibility.
set in stone. It needs to be a drop-in 5-week program over the summer. If you have somebody who has experience or willing to reinvent the program, I think as a town you should entertain that idea, because the last couple of years it hasn't gone that well, in my opinion.
In my opinion, it's been excellent the last few years, but we're definitely open to anything new, and I know the program's been evolving over time,
Yeah.
and we're open to anything that a new director would be open for.
I
We're hoping to find someone that wants to take it and run with it and help really build a great program.
I think so. It's time.
Okay, all right, the last thing again is the same, capital computer backup and other miscellaneous services. But one more item of old business, the children that attended the youth program last summer that didn't pay, you were spearheading that, and
Yes, so the board has to decide, do we want to go after these parents for the money, or do we not want to? Supervisor Gundrum did a lot of legwork on that and put a whole thing together on what families were that weren't actually in the town. And some of them might have thought they were, but, and I was trying to work with the youth director with that, but now you don't have a youth director anymore. So that kind of stalled everything for me. So we have to decide as a group, do we want to send out bills to people that are not in the town? What's that?
how many was there?
I don't have that in front of me.
How much money was it?
I don't have that in front of me. I think, what was it, I'm guessing, I think it was what, $20 a day or something around there? And so it depends on how many days that person went for.
Do we still have the attendance records in your office? We do.
The same thing happened the previous year as well. So how does it happen a second year in a row? It's, you know, they should have paid a week in advance like any other summer camp does,
Pay in advance.
which was suggested
Yeah,
a year ago.
you're right.
Okay, so we're still, I mean, I feel bad sending bills to someone for last summer's work, but by the same token, the town was on the hook for it. We ended up spending an extra $1,000 for food that, to augment the budget over the summer, so. And to go back to make a correction, Supervisor Gundrum looked into it, but the legwork was done by Supervisor Murray from Petersburg when she was billed for these 11 children with Petersburg addresses that were really from Coast and Kill and Berlin and other areas. So Supervisor Murray, to her credit, found it when we actually billed her for the billable hours of children attending camp. So,
Can I ask you a question on what you said about the extra $1,000? Was that for the whole year? Or how many weeks was left when that emergency budget went through?
2.
I have to look back, but I think 2 weeks.
So there should be, we didn't spend $1,000 in 2 weeks, right? So there's gotta be money that should be coming back to the town for that?
Did the youth director turn in anything other than her petty cash slips when she resigned?
She had, I do believe she had one voucher that she turned in at that time.
Okay. Anything over the summer with payback or anything that, I don't remember seeing anything from her over the summer. Oh, so I have to say no.
Right, so all that money I don't believe was spent.
Right, wasn't given to her. And she didn't receive it.
Well, no, but I was just wondering if we spent all that because they're talking about the $1,000, so that's why I was asking the board that.
We went with that because of the quality of the food that the kids were receiving was not what we thought was.
Quality hasn't been good for a few years.
Yeah, it was really bad. Kids were getting cold bean dip for lunch. And it was something that no grown adult would eat.
Well, then, I think that if we're gonna do it again this year, we need to have it all set as to what we're doing with food and everything beforehand and make the camp, the money pay for the food if that's what we're gonna do. Because you do have people from other towns to go. We shouldn't have to be footing the bill for them.
Well, the food's paid for through the county, so it was the county food program, and they knew it was an issue and it's something they're looking into, so we're hoping that it will be fixed this year. That's why we stepped in, because we talked to the county and they were under contract and there wasn't much that they could do this year, but the contract was ending. So now we're hoping that things would be a lot better and the quality should be where it should be.
All right, anything else under old business? All right, we're at public comment. Public comment is privilege of the floor. It's limited to 5 minutes per person. Councilman Beaudry is our timekeeper. Be mindful the public comment portion of the meeting is a privilege. All comments and statements shall be directed to the town board. Please refrain from any personal attacks, name calling, or derogatory public comments toward individuals. All right, who'd like to start?
I will.
All right, Nancy Powers-LaRock.
I got 2 things. Last month, town council stated that there was too much time spent on public comments. And my question is, isn't that part of your job, is to listen to public comments? Okay? And if there's too much time spent, that's why you don't want to have the talking back and forth. Some of the board members have said in the past they want to be transparent, but yet you're not being transparent because you're not listening to what people have to say. You know, if you don't like that, maybe this is not the job for you guys, if you don't want to listen to what the public has to say. We do pay the taxes, and you are our representative. We tried to represent our town and what we feel is right to you, but it doesn't matter. And second of all, I've noticed the last 4 months coming to the meeting and leaving the meeting, there appears, Frank, you had said originally when you first got on the board that transparency was important and there would be, the open laws was broken if you had more than 3 or more people in the back and you weren't going in and you were coming out and sitting out in the front public here while everybody else was in the back. Now I've noticed that you're back there. I've noticed for the past 3 months, at least 3 board members, the attorney are in there. Last week, or last month, you, the board members, Mr. Oliver, and the attorney was in there. Isn't that breaking the public law, the public open law?
No, not if we're not talking about town business or making these.
Doors closed. The door's closed. How do we know what you're talking? That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. I'm sorry, but you have to take what is perceived to be. The doors are closed. No other public can come walking in there. You've got Mr. Oliver in there. You've got the attorney in there. You've got Steve in there. You've got Jody in there, and you in there. Last month after the meeting, I thought you had an executive meeting. I said, wait a minute, they didn't call an executive meeting. Okay, I believe that's illegal. You should check that, especially with the doors closed and the town clerk walking back and forth in and out. And the same thing every day, every month that I've come up here for the past 4 months, you were all in that back room with the door closed. Okay, to me, that's an open laws break of the law. I don't care if you like it or not, Steve.
I didn't say a word.
Well, you were mumbling up there.
Because you keep saying the door was closed.
Let's
It
not-
was.
let's
It was
not-
closed because I came over and actually looked.
They just made the
being
comment
made,
that the door
let's-
was not closed. That's what the only thing Steve said. He wasn't.
Okay, well,
arguing.
that's why I ask you guys to speak up so us hard people here can hear it. Because it sounded like you were attacking again.
Thank
So
you.
Nancy, could I just, we just did the committee appointments, and we're responsible as a town board member for some of these areas, which we just ran through. That's where we would sit down with you for a longer discussion than just the 5 minutes that you get here. So this would make sense to me, that if you had a problem in one of these areas, that we would get together and have a meeting and really hash out what's on your mind, what needs to be changed, what needs to be worked on. That's what we would do through these committees.
Okay, and I understand that, Pierce, okay? But I've already told Mr. Lewandowski that I will not sit down with him without taping my conversation with him. Okay?
Okay.
Yes, I've offered to sit down and meet with her to go over any issues or concerns she may have.
But there's multiple
But you
members
didn't
of
say I
the-
could tape it.
Right, I didn't.
That's right. That's why I won't meet with you, because I don't trust you.
And you would meet with one of us. I mean, we're here to help you and get the town in a position where we have problems solved. Because if we can't solve these problems, they just linger on and on.
And I understand that, Pierce, but there's also a problem when you have bobbleheads on the board that goes with whatever Mr. Lewandowski says, okay? And they've told us, we've talked with Frank, we've met with Frank. If they're meeting, that's why I'm questioning every week you come up here, because I was advised that you're not supposed to have, a town board cannot have a meeting in the back with the door closed, and the door heading this way was closed. I don't know what door, if you're talking the one that goes into the clerk's is open. I don't know, because I didn't think he's supposed to, we were as public supposed to go in there.
That's time.
Thank you, Nancy Palish-LaRock. Anyone else from the floor tonight? Mr. Munn?
Yeah.
John Munn?
I guess this kind of goes to some extent to Nancy's concerns about transparency. This is a letter I wrote to the board, delivered it today. I'm going back, this is a little bit historic. Recently, the town board has taken actions targeting Supervisor Gundrum that have been disingenuous, harmful to taxpayers, and the cohesion of our community. In last October's workshop special meeting, you passed Resolution 51, which, quote, discontinued and eliminated, unquote, the position of the confidential secretary to the supervisor, stating that the position no longer appeared to be necessary and vital, and that elimination was to, quote, maximize savings for the taxpayers of the town of Grafton, unquote. This opinion was not shared by the supervisor. There was no discussion of the argument's merit, and in coming to its decision, this body failed to recognize or value Supervisor Gundram's unique perspective or to seek compromise. Then in December 12th, the town board meeting, this body chose to pursue an ethics complaint against Supervisor Gundram over charges which were unfounded, hearsay, not researched to their factuality or merit, and which were refuted by the two individuals and only individuals with actual knowledge of what transpired. Based on a faulty premise, this body attempted to coerce Supervisor Gundram to resign from her position as supervisor, and because she failed to accede to your request, you referred the matter to the Rensselaer County District Attorney's Office. Due to your actions, the town has incurred the expenses of legal representation to both defend Supervisor Gundram and to research basis in law to support your charges based on a false premise. These costs are in addition to the legal retainer paid to provide this body with counsel. Board minutes note the cost is approximately $9,000 to date for David Grunberg, Esquire, and the Lulabrand Law Firm, and I would like to see payments clearly reported in the financial reports. It seems that despite your assurances to, quote, maximize savings for the taxpayers of the town of Grafton, unquote, we taxpayers paid and will continue to pay dearly for your lack of due diligence and personal agendas. In the February 12th town board meeting, Resolution 34 was passed. Since the agenda was not posted and the motion is not stated in the minutes, my recollection is the board dictated that the supervisor cede possession of her town laptop to make available for employees' use. This dictate undermines her authority and compromises confidentiality, and your pettiness causes me to question your motives. A laptop is not expensive. It hardly compares to the $9,000 in legal costs you imposed on taxpayers to date, a $9,000 expense that could have provided the entire board and more with their own laptops. Tonight, because Supervisor Gundram has not bowed to your mandate, Resolution 40 requires her to cede her laptop within 24 hours. This body has eliminated her aid, and by all appearances, it now seeks to impede her ability to do her job. And perhaps that's your intent. A laptop is a necessary business tool that enables us to work efficiently. The board is being petty and vindictive. It strives to harass Supervisor Gundram and impede her ability to do her job, the one we elected her to do. Your actions are clearly a pissing match between the board majority and Supervisor Gundram. I and other residents are angered by it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Anyone else from the floor tonight? No? Ann Calabro.
Okay, so I'm going to duplicate what John just said concerning Resolution 34 and 40. Prior to last month's vote, the supervisor stated that she uses the laptop for her duties. Not one council member acknowledged her statement, and all present voted to take it away. Vicki has a new laptop. It's only used for recording meetings. Couldn't this be used by board members? I don't know. I see this as a malicious and petty attempt on the part of the board to hinder the execution of the supervisor's responsibilities. Since the laptop was purchased as a supervisor's line item, having it taken by the board in the legislative role crosses with the executive role. Since it was used by the supervisor's confidential secretary, the hard drive would need to be removed. August 2020, code enforcement officer email was requested. We still don't have that. Concerning keys to the boardroom, you have a resolution today about making more keys for the boardroom. They were made, well, there was a resolution made back in January and February of 2020 about getting keys for everybody. What happened to them? We're spending more money to get more keys? Is someone not being careful with them? Okay, and then despite the complaints of my detractors, I would rather be out here in the open bringing my concerns to the board rather than being one of the 3 men in a room, in a closed room, and one wannabe man. 3 board members
That's
meet
uncalled for.
before and after meetings with no notes being taken by the clerk, and there's no accountability, making decisions that are unpopular with the town residents and forcing them through by resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else from the floor tonight? Yes, Mr. Douglas, Chuck Douglas.
Yeah, so just a quick comment. I mean, I noticed, this evening during old business, I feel like there's a pretty good dialogue between the board and the public. There's actually been allowance to ask questions to kind of go back and forth. I think that's a really healthy thing. I think it goes to Pierce's point that he mentioned that, you do need to have that, be open to the only way you kind of resolve these kinds of things is you talk about them. And so if you don't do that, if you shut that down one way or the other, then that's not going to happen. So one thing I would love to see, just in the same way that we've been doing that with old business tonight, let's do that with resolutions. I mean, you as clearly as a board are going to be making decisions on these resolutions one by one. There's no reason that we couldn't have a very reasonable dialogue with questions maybe about that resolution, how you came to different results, whatever. You may not have all the answers, but the fact is that the discussion really helps in at least helping us understand why you're where you're at the very least. And maybe even some things we have to say would influence your decision before you actually make that decision. I feel like the public comment doesn't really accomplish that here, when you do it all at once. And then we talk about 5 or 6 resolutions after the fact. So it's just something, comment to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else tonight on the floor? Okay. All right, thank you for your public comments. Moving on to motions and resolutions. We have resolution number 39 of 2023. I believe this was put together by Councilman Lewandowski. Would you like to read it?
Resolution urging and supporting the passage of New York State Senate Bill S. 2048, Resolution 39 of 2023. Whereas the town of Grafton acknowledges the difficulty in recruiting and retaining volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers, and whereas our community rely on these volunteers that provide these vital services within the town, and whereas emergency calls have increased and the number of volunteers in the region continue to decrease, and whereas on December 9, 2022, Governor Hochul signed legislation that created an opt-in for all local governments to provide a 10% property tax exemption to volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers. And whereas the law took effect immediately and Rensselaer County passed Local Law 1 of 2023, opting in the legislation to allow our volunteers the option to receive this exemption of the the option of receiving this exemption of $200 tax credit. And whereas Rensselaer County Legislative Body has heard from local volunteers and feel that while the new legislation was well intended, New York State Bill S. 2048 would be more successful with the overall recruitment and retention problems of our volunteer agencies and communities are facing. And whereas the town board supports any efforts that may help in the recruitment and retention of these vital volunteer services and urge the passing of New York State Bill S. 2048. Now therefore be it resolved that the clerk for the town of Grafton is hereby directed to transmit a certified copy of this resolution to Governor Kathy Hochul, Senator Jake Ashby, Assemblyman Scott Bendet. And then attached is the law which would increase the amount from, I believe, 200 to 400.
And this is for the income tax credit, just so you guys realize it's not the same thing as the real estate exemption we talked about earlier. This would make it so that people who don't own any land, but they volunteer, maybe they rent or they live with their parents, but they volunteer, this would give them an incentive to volunteer.
Right, this is just an urging because the bill has not passed yet.
Urging the bill to pass
By the state.
Right.
Yeah.
By the state.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to pass this resolution 39 of 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Bowdre?
Yes.
Councilman Boucher?
Yes.
Councilman Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt?
Yes.
Supervisor Douglas?
Yes.
Good time.
Resolution 40, 2023. I'd like to read this one.
I can read it. Resolution 40 of 2023, whereas the town board passed resolution 34 of 2023 last month, approving placing the secretary to the supervisor's laptop in the boardroom and making it accessible to town employees for town business. Whereas the laptop has not been turned over or placed in the boardroom, and now therefore be it resolved that the town of Grafton hereby calls for the supervisor to turn over the laptop within 24 hours to the town clerk, and for the town clerk to put the laptop in the boardroom. I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution 40 of 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Bozak?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShay?
Yes.
Councilman Lewandowski?
Yes.
Councilman Hoy?
No.
Supervisor Leonard?
No. Resolution number 41. This is also, I'm not sure who put this one up.
Yep, I can read it.
Okay.
Resolution opposing New York State's ban on gas stoves and other new fossil fuel heating equipment, Resolution 41 of 2023. Whereas the town of Grafton has endeavored to protect the health, safety, and quality of life for those who live and work in the town of Grafton, and to further protect the environment and natural resources of the town. And whereas the town board also has a duty to promote reliable and affordable energy resources that Grafton residents can depend on to heat their homes and ensure access to essential services. And whereas the New York State Governor Kathy Hochul stated the state address contained a proposal to prohibit the sale of new fossil fuel powered heating systems by 2030 for smaller buildings and 2035 for larger buildings, and zero emission new construction with no on-site fossil fuel combustion by 2025 for smaller buildings and 2028 for larger buildings. And whereas a bipartisan coalition, including the White House, Consumer Product Safety Commission, and lawmakers representing both sides of the political spectrum, have come out against prohibition of gas stoves. And whereas the governor's proposed ban is part of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act intended to address climate change, and whereas in 2022 Rensselaer County Legislative Body cautioned that the LPCPA Resolution P277/22 would put an enormous financial burden on New York State taxpayers, and quoted John Howard, a member of the New York State Public Service Commission, who stated that the true cost of the CLPCPA has not been fully disclosed and would lead to hundreds of billions of dollars in higher utility bills. And whereas New York State lawmakers continue to tout subsidies that bring down the overall cost of the electrical grid, these subsidies are solely funded by utility ratepayers and taxpayers already overburdened by New York State's onerous cost of living expenses. And whereas the demand for life-saving and affordable energy sources in cold climate areas should be a priority to New York State leaders, and whereas the generalized estimated cost to convert a house to electric in cold climate areas is between $20,000 to $25,000 per household, and would not include any kind of backup system in the event of a power outage, coupled with certain rolling blackouts and energy rationing due to unreliability of electrical grids, causing dangerous and potentially deadly outcome for residents. Whereas according to a 2021 study commissioned by the National Association of Home Builders, electric homes in cold climates were also found to have higher ongoing utility costs compared to the most cost-effective gas homes. Whereas a ban on natural gas appliances and water heaters is not feasible for upstate New York with harsh winter weather and an exposed electrical infrastructure. Appliances used to heat water and cook food need to work during power outages, especially during time of inclement weather. And whereas current technology that has expected to replace gas stoves such as space heating does not work well in our climate, this fact was noted in a Research Climate Action Council report, which proposed requiring 2 heating sources for New York residents who live in areas that are frequently too cold. Now therefore be it resolved that the clerk of the town of Grafton is hereby directed to transmit a certified copy of this resolution to Governor Kathy Hochul, Senator Jake Ashby, Assemblyman Scott Bendeck, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Commissioner Basil Sigos, and Environmental Protection Agency Administrator for Region 2, Lisa Clava Garcia. I'd like to make a motion to accept Resolution 41 of 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Mosley,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes. Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 42 of 2023 for the Highway Department, resolution approving to purchase a used paver. Whereas the town of Grafton has a duty to take the necessary action so the town of Grafton Highway Department has the tools and machinery needed to work as safely and efficiently as possible. And whereas purchasing a used 2004 paver model 1110 RJB would provide the town of Grafton Highway Department the ability to work much more efficiently while providing a high quality of work. And whereas the Rensselaer County Highway Department has this paver for sale, and Rensselaer County being a government agency, the town is not required to get additional quotes per the town's procurement policy. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Grafton hereby approves the purchase of a used 2004 Vogely paver model 1110 RJB serial number 30529 for use by the town of Grafton Highway Department from Rensselaer County Highway Department for a total cost of $9,000. I'd like to make a motion to pass resolution 42.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilwoman DeShane.
Councilman Mosley,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
and Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. And resolution 43, whereas the town of Grafton is in need of having a key to the conference room cut for use by the town court, and good cause appearing therefore, now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk of the town of Grafton is hereby authorized to have a key cut for the conference room for use by the town court. I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 43. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Hoyt.
Councilman Mosley,
Yes.
Councilman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
That resolution wasn't in the packet that Frank put up. The 43 is about the mold. So was that,
They got me numbered.
Because the mold one was removed.
okay, I thought this was the official one when it's put up online.
When it's put on the website.
Yeah,
It's tentative. It's a tentative. Things change, vouchers get added, vouchers get taken off.
okay. Just wondering, because I thought before it was supposed to be, everything had to be up there with it for 10 days or something like that.
I mean,
Got vouchers to pay?
but I hear, I agree with you completely. All right, we're moving on to the motion to pay the bills as audited. Vicki, we have vouchers 88 through 135
Yes.
for $81,281.70. That's vouchers 88 through 135 for a total of $81,280.70. I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills as audited. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Lewandowski.
Councilman Mosley,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeShane,
Yes.
Councilman Hoyt,
Yes.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes. All right, our upcoming meetings are the town board meeting on April 10th, 2023 at 7 p.m. We have legislative privilege now. Does anyone have anything for that?
I do. Just want to state that the keys, nobody lost keys. When the keys were, new keys were cut, the judges did not receive the keys. They used to have access to it before to let attorneys meet with their clients in that area. So what we're doing is just giving them that access that they used to have. And then to the comment about board members, this board takes a lot of caution to make sure that we do not talk board town business if there's more than 3 people around. If we are talking about anything, we actually take a lot of time to talk individually and then talk individually between us. We do not have any meetings and illegal meetings or anything like that going on. transparency is very important to this board, and we work very hard to make sure everything's good. And then the comment about the ethics board not having, the ethics board did a very thorough job on things, and I'm just going to leave it at that. If you have a question on how good the ethics board did in any type of report, I recommend you talk to them. And that's all I have.
Anyone else for legislative privilege?
No,
All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this evening in loving memory of Joan Cincione and Paul Galea. Have a second? All in favor?
All right.
Thanks everyone for coming out. Is it snowing yet?